Hi, Genki here. Welcome to my review of Crisis Core Final Fantasy VII Reunion. Review code provided by the kind folks at Square Enix. Crisis Core Final Fantasy VII Reunion released on December 13, 2022. It's a remaster of the original PSP game Crisis Core, which released in 2007 and is a prequel to the original Final Fantasy VII that was released on the PlayStation 1. The original Crisis Core is stuck on the PSP with no digital versions to play. The only way to play it is with a physical UMD copy of the game on the PSP. So a way to play Crisis Core on modern consoles was a long time request from fans, and Square Enix have gone above and beyond with this release. Also, if you like the video, please subscribe to support the channel. With its new Reunion title, Crisis Core Final Fantasy VII Reunion is now part of the Final Fantasy VII Remake family of games, which began with Final Fantasy VII Remake and will continue with Final Fantasy VII Rebirth and also the third game of the Final Fantasy Remake trilogy. But this game is technically a remaster of the prequel to the original Final Fantasy VII, so you don't need to have played Final Fantasy VII Remake in order to play this version of Crisis Core. They're calling it a remaster, but in many ways it's more than just a remaster. With updated graphics and combat gameplay, it makes this version the definitive version of Crisis Core, and it is an absolute blast to play. So let's talk about the gameplay. Apart from the updated visuals, the gameplay is the #1 area in which the game has been updated. It is super fun to play. It has a fast and frenetic action gameplay. If you have played Final Fantasy VII Remake, you will feel right at home with this remaster. It is also a great intro into the world of Final Fantasy VII for those who have not yet played the original. I played Crisis Core on the PlayStation 5, so I'll be using the PlayStation 5 buttons in the explanations. The new updates to the gameplay see it now have dual analog stick and modern camera controls, as well as numerous quality of life updates. You can now use the L1 button plus the face buttons to act as modifiers, very similar to Final Fantasy VII Remake. You can customize the actions by assigning different materia to each button. They will then allow you to use various abilities, attacks and magic spells with the L1 button plus the face buttons. It's a cool system that lets you customize your controls. The combat mainly involves you swinging your sword to do attack combos that you can also chain abilities onto for improved critical damage. Items such as potions can be scrolled through and selected using the L2 and R2 trigger button and activated by pressing circle. Later in the game you have the ability to change stance using the Buster Sword and also level up the weapon's proficiency by guarding and finishing off enemies in the Buster Sword Strong stance, which is an awesome new addition to the combat gameplay and inspired by Final Fantasy VII Remake. Then there is the Digital Mindwave DMW system, which is a roulette wheel of characters that constantly spins whilst in battle. You unlock new images for the DMW as you progress through the story and meet new characters. The DMW spins and will land on a combination of character images. Some combinations give you stat boosts in the current battle, such as infinite MP or AP for a limited time. Or, if you line up the same 3 characters, it will trigger a limit break special attack related to that character, and sometimes trigger a memory flashback scene too. The limit breaks can now be stopped and activated using the triangle button, which is a big upgrade from the PSP version where the limit breaks were automatically triggered as soon as they were rolled. Also, there are awesome summons that can also be rolled in the DMW to trigger cool summon attacks by clicking in the 2 analog sticks. There is also an intricate materia system in which you can fuse materia and upgrade them to create new abilities and magic spells. As fun as the new reworked gameplay is, the structure of the game at its heart is still a PSP game. You can tell by the way the levels and chapters are set up, as well as the various missions in the game, that this was originally a PSP game. Do not expect the same production quality and gameplay structure as a AAA title like Final Fantasy VII Remake. That being said, the gameplay improvements are impressive and make it a game worth playing on modern consoles. Missions play a big part in this game and are really fun. There are a total of 300 missions in the game that you can access at save points. Missions are short soldier excursions from Shinra and the people that you meet in the game. They place you on a map in which you have to find treasure chests and defeat the main enemy of the mission to complete. Most of the missions are very short and last about 1 to 5 minutes. It's great for handheld pick up and go gaming. Completing missions are mostly optional, with a small few that are needed to progress the story. Some can get quite repetitive, but they offer a fun extra activity to do and are actually where most of the challenge and rare items in the game come from. I found the new gameplay overall extremely fun and addicting. It is easy to get lost in completing the missions and just wanting to do that one more mission. For those wanting to get the Platinum Trophy, I recommend playing through the story the first time, then going back and doing a second run with trophies in mind. There are a lot of missable trophies in this game, and unfortunately there are no chapter selects, so it's best to be prepared and have a guide from the start to save you doing too many playthroughs. The 30 save slots the game gives you will definitely help with that. Completing the main story will take around 15 to 20 hours, and a complete Platinum Trophy playthrough can take around 50 to 60 hours. There's a lot of content in there, and there's a lot more depth in the gameplay to be found at the higher level missions, just like Final Fantasy VII Remake. The story of Crisis Core is one of its most charming and endearing points. The cutscenes and dialogue are exactly the same as the original PSP version, but the graphics have been enhanced with the newer voice actors from Final Fantasy VII Remake. All the dialogue in the game is now voiced, including NPCs and characters that were never voiced in the original game, such as your soldier friend Kunzel. The story follows Zack Fair as a goofy but headstrong and daring protagonist, and sets up the scene for the original Final Fantasy story. People who played the original Final Fantasy VII game will enjoy the many references to characters in the original game. Zack is a Shinra soldier second class, dreaming of becoming a soldier first class and a hero. You are led by your mentor Agil. There's also a character called Genesis who is their main antagonist in the game. Sephiroth also appears in the game as another member of Soldier and who goes on some missions in the game with you. It is an amazing story for Final Fantasy fans that sees you retread many environments and meet many characters from the classic Final Fantasy VII game and discover more of their backstory. The most amazing part of the story is the ending, which is one of the best video game endings of all time. Don't forget to bring your tissues, and it gets me every time. Oh boy, it's great. The game's visuals are a massive upgrade. Although at its core, it is a PSP game, the newer character models in Unreal Engine 4 look amazing and on par with their Final Fantasy VII Remake counterparts. The bones of the character animations are still from the PSP version, so some of the characters' movements and dialogue can feel a bit stiff and do not match the quality of their character models. But there were many times that I was left jaw-dropped by the improved visuals, especially with the CG movies in the game, which have all been upscaled to 4K and look better than ever. Also, the CG clips for the summons have been totally remade and look absolutely stunning. On the PlayStation 5, it runs at 4K 60 frames per second and feels great and very responsive. There's also the Switch version. On the Switch it runs at 720p and 30 frames per second, but it still feels great to play, especially in handheld mode. And despite the downgrade in graphics, resolution and frame rate, the game still feels great to play on the Switch. In conclusion, I really enjoyed my time with Crisis Core Final Fantasy VII Reunion. It's a great and super fun game. It delivers the charm of the original PSP game with a fresh coat of paint taken from the amazing Final Fantasy VII Remake, which is one of my favourite games from the PS4 era. You really get to experience the charm of the character Zack and get an amazing insight into the world of the Shinra company and Final Fantasy VII. At its core, it is still a PSP game, but the enhancements in visuals and especially gameplay make it a must-play for any Final Fantasy VII fans and action game fans in general. I give it a Genki Gamer review score of 9 out of 10. An absolute blast. Thanks for watching. Let me know in the comments below what you think about Crisis Core Final Fantasy VII Reunion. Please like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. じゃあね。